My name is Carmi Palafox, an urban planner and economist. Welcome to Beyond Places, the podcast about the planning, design, and leadership of the communities and cities that we call home. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to have with us Natalia Tinjaca. So she's an expert in transport and mobility, and she's a good friend of mine. So to start off, Nati will be introducing herself and the work that she's doing in Colombia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Natalia Tinjaca. I'm from Bogota, Colombia, and I am a civil engineer, and I had worked during around 15 years in urban mobility.
If I got it right, Natalia, you're advisor to the mobility secretary in Bogota, Colombia, correct? That's your current role?
Working urban observatories of mobility and also in different studies and research about public transit, bike mobility policies, and also logistics. And recently I have worked in road safety plans and road safety special for the Bloomberg Initiative for Global Road Safety. And we had made many documents and many research for the mobility policy in Bogota, saving many lives. This is one of my passions. I love the hackathons, jams, prototyping, crowdsourcing spaces. We were pioneers in Bogota doing these hackathons and all these kind of spaces for innovation and for creativity. And also I had promote many of startups for the mobility policy. Also, I had worked with former Mayor Michael Bloomberg in Bloomberg Initiative for Global Road Safety in Bogota, implementing the Vision Zero approach. We reached around 100 lives saved in 3 years. So it was pretty awesome because we have a huge problem in road safety in Bogota. Also, I have been a spokesperson of the initiative in Bogota. I have worked with community, local allies engagement, training many journalists, police officers, and city technicians in different topics regarding urban road safety. Recently, I worked in the initiative Safer Cars with the Global Health Advocacy Incubator. We promote the inclusion of road safety standards for the vehicles, and we want that these standards will be for everyone, not only for the people of higher incomes. And also I have worked in many communication campaigns. So that's me. I have, this is my experience.
So when I was thinking about this podcast, you were really top of mind in terms of inviting to speak with. So when we met in 2016, when we were classmates in Israel, we had several good conversations about what you're doing in Colombia. Well, first I wanted to ask because many urbanists around the world always talk about not just Bogota, but also some measures that are being done in Medellin and in other cities. Why do you think that there's this room for creativity and innovation in terms of addressing urban challenges in Colombia?
I think that we had created this path and it hasn't been easy, but we are going like step by step, showing like this challenge that all the cities are facing in Bogota, and also engaging. And we started in Bogota many years ago, and many technicians have been like spread in different cities. Now they are working in Medellin, in Cali, and they are implementing these more safer spaces for vulnerable users. So this change in the approach to protect the vulnerable users is very important, and especially now that we have different means of transport, not only the car, but the motorcycle, the bicycle, the electric bicycle, the scooter. So Now this is a big challenge, but that's why we are working together in the different cities in Bogota and Colombia. Bogota has around 7.7 million inhabitants. The population growth rate is around 1.7%. We have a surface area of around 1,700 square kilometers. Our GDP is around $10,000, and our Gini index is 0.5. is huge, and it shows a huge inequality in the city. So this is our city. Bogota has had a love history during many years with the bicycle, starting in 1971 with the first bike path for cyclists. This was a temporary bike path that we call ciclovia, and we removed the cars from the streets and give it to the bicycles and to the cyclists. This initiative grew and during many years it was the center of the recreation and Sunday family time. Our former mayor Enrique Peñalosa, in 2003, he started to actually in 1998 he took the power as mayor in his first period, and he started to promote the building of a bike infrastructure. After that, we had many people, many collectives, many users that really get together, and they started to promote and to reclaim the space of the bicycle in the city. This is the Ciclopaseo Cachaco. They do it once in a year, and they dress like really Bogotanians and start to roll over the city. And she is our actual current mayor, Madam Mayor Claudia Lopez, and she has a huge compromise with the bicycle. We had reached 1.2 million daily trips in Bogota, in the region, and most of the trips made in Bogota are done in sustainable modes. 67% of those, and also we have more than 550 kilometers of cycle lanes. We promote the use of public transport, walking and cycling. This is our first priority for the technicians, and also to promote the use of this infrastructure by women, because in this moment most of the users are men, but also we have a gender policy for the women in the city. This public policy for the bicycle had been like a sustained effort in different administration by different mayors. So we have a huge objective for this new period of Madam Mayor Lopez to reach around 860 kilometers of cycle lanes. But we want to change our approach and position the vulnerable users in the top of our actions, and also make the road safety the center of our work. Why? Because in Colombia, around 6,600 persons die in Colombia every single year, and this is equivalent to the crash of 70 planes in the national territory. And we say that we think that this should stop. We should do something, and we must do something for the road safety. 0.3, but we are far away from Switzerland or other European countries. Still, we are the lowest rate in the history, and in Colombia. We have other cities in Colombia with huge and with bigger death rates in road crashes. But what happened with these road crashes in Bogota? The main interaction is between the pedestrian and the motorcycle. Pedestrians are the main vulnerable users and the main victims. And this is a recently analysis that we did in Mobility Secretary, and it shows that motorcyclists are the interaction between motorcyclists and pedestrians is the main cause of death in our roads. So we need to work with these vulnerable users because motorcycles are also victims as well. As you can see, autolesión means that they crash with an object or maybe with a pothole. So we need to stop and to prevent deaths in traffic. And that's what Michael Bloomberg said. And that's why Michael Bloomberg created Bloomberg Philanthropies, and he invited 10 cities to be part of this road safety road safety initiative, Global Road Safety. We were 10 cities in different parts of the world. We had Fortaleza, Sao Paulo, but we also have Addis Ababa, Accra, Mumbai. We also had Philippines as country, and other cities in Asia. And we work together to tackle these huge road crashes and this road safety burden for the cities. And we apply these 4 principles of Vision Zero in Bogota. One is that the human error should be added in the equation and in the design of infrastructure. We can't say the children, please don't play in the park and go behind the ball. But we can say to the technicians, we can demand to the technicians to create safer streets for children and to reduce speeds and to manage speeds around these school zones. Also, we create that good behavior comes with good infrastructure. If we don't provide the proper infrastructure for our city, we promote bad behavior, we promote bad use of the roads. In other terms, transport must be safe for everyone, not only for cars, but also for bikes, for pedestrians, for all kind of transport users. And we must work in partnerships. We can do this alone. People are always, and drivers especially, are always blaming the pedestrians or the cyclists. But actually, it's the system that is not working. And the system consists in different approach in engineering, education, and enforcement. So that's why we create and we promote the road safety plan for Bogota. And we did many actions regarding infrastructure, education, and enforcement. We take wider roads that was only for cars, and we changed the configuration of the road. We changed the design through pilot projects and try to implement safer spaces for for cyclists and for pedestrians. Also, we create what we call tactical urbanism actions, and we create these spaces with only planters and some painting. And we did a huge difference in many popular neighborhoods in Bogota. We always look for the hot spots in road crashes, and we promote this new infrastructure. And also we manage the space for cars, the illegal space that was taken by cars in parking, and we change and we create new ways of mobility and new ways of living the city. This is the program called Plazoletas Bogota, and this is advised by NACTO, and NACTO has this approach of painting different geometric figures and try to show that the city is for the pedestrians and create new good spaces for living. And we also working very hard to create these bike paths, and this is an ongoing process, and I think we will never stop doing that because we always need to connect and provide more options of mobility to the people, especially the people in the poor neighborhoods, in the far neighborhoods, and try to connect the city center with them. Now, with the COVID lockdown and we challenge that we faced, we created temporary bike lanes. And nowadays we have 60 kilometers of new bike lanes created for this COVID emergency. And also, this is a program that we are very proud of, and it's a bike to school program. This is for kids between 8 and 12 years old, and we teach them how to use the bicycle, how to go safer routes to the school, and how to create a bicycle culture, and also to create this and promote this different way to live in the city, because many of those kids doesn't they don't have a bicycle, and the program provides the bicycle to them, and this is a huge change in their livings, in their way of living. And also many of them didn't or hadn't left their neighborhood. They only know their neighborhood, but with this program, they have the opportunity to know many places in the city and going all together to the school. So it's a beautiful program, and it's still going. And we have many kids in this moment. It's not working, of course, because of the lockdown, but we strongly believe that the bicycle is the way to promote more good citizens with more culture and with more empathy with the others. And also we create these school zones in the city. We pilot many school zones where we had road accidents and fatalities in the previous years. We mark the streets and promote different signalization for these neighborhoods. And also we implement the 50 kilometers per hour policy in our city, and we have the chance to expand this policy to the whole main streets in the city, the main arterial roads. We are always going elbow to elbow with the police officers and the traffic police, and we implement speed management programs and enforcement. So that's our work that we had done in Bogota. We had mixed urban development, this city of 30 minutes that we are dreaming of, and the Madam Mayor Claudia Lopez is dreaming of. And we are also having the road safety as our main lead in this path. During this talk, 165 people died around the world during this talk. So this is a huge problem, and we want to promote that the kids and the elderly people had a more resilient and a better place to live in Bogota.
The number that you showed was very impressive. So about 67% of trips are done in sustainable modes. Did this change throughout the years? Was it less before and then it's increasing because of these road safety and other measures?
So that's a challenge, because we also have in the city during many years, and also because we think that everybody has a car in their home, but it's not true. It's only the 20% of the population that has a car. So people are still doing their trips in by walking or using the public transport. So yes, we are proud of this model space, but we also need to provide safer spaces for all of them.
That proportion is very similar. So Manila in the Philippines, less than 20% of people own cars, and yet, majority of the infrastructure built is for cars. So there's very limited budget given for bicycle lanes or for improving pedestrian walkways. So I really like that. I think it was the second principle that you mentioned earlier. I think you said good behavior comes with good infrastructure. So do you see that it's consistently, shown in terms of the budget or in terms of urban plans for Bogota, that it's really consistent in terms of what the government says?
Yes. And the local government is now convinced and fully connected and engaged with the promotion of this social and urban mobility. And it's our main actions, like to create these new bike paths, also to promote road safety, because still people of lowest income is dying on the streets. And so this is a challenge, and also to promote air quality, because 2,000 people per year in Colombia is dying because of respiratory diseases. So we have we had changed the chip, as we said. We have changed the chip, and is a progress, is an ongoing process, but the public policy and the plan for the majors are now changing towards the bike and cycling and walking priorities.
And when we talk about cycling and walking, it's really active. It promotes activity, or what we call active mobility. So you mentioned earlier that it's a big part of road safety is people's health, but also the other aspect to it is cities that promote walking and cycling. It helps address illnesses like obesity, diabetes, and other respiratory illnesses. So I think there are so many alignments there as well. When you promote walking and cycling, hopefully more people would do it, because their doctors say, hey, you should be more active. And it's probably the cheapest way to get active. It's free, actually.
Yes, this active mobility and this view and this like a vision of have a 30-minute city that will be connected, that we can walk and cycling in 30 minutes and reach our destinies, is also a priority in this administration. So yes, it's important.
Yes, that's very impressive. So I understand the mayor of Paris is also doing the same. I know different cities around the world have different number of minutes, but I know Melbourne in Australia is talking about the 20-minute city. Greater Sydney also in Australia is talking about the 30-minute city. I think the mayor of Paris, Mayor Hidalgo, is talking about the 15-minute city. So it's good that there's such a priority for Bogota. How are you working? How is the transport and mobility group working with the urban planning group, working with the housing authority and other government agencies to make that 20-minute city our reality?
Actually, urban planners are also in the mobility secretary. So we have this planning department, but in the mobility secretary, we also have urban planners and many technicians that promote these districts of 30 minutes. And also, they are working in these green corridors and safer corridors for pedestrians, to connect the public transport and to connect, like not only provide safe urban road safety, but say personal safety. So yes, we are working like in an alliance, and in the mobility sector we have the mobility secretary, but also the entities in charge of public transport, Transmillennium, and the road infrastructure that we call IDU, Institute of Urban Development. So yes, it's a joint work.
Okay, so I guess they're also changing land use and densities to make sure that city is more compact.
Yes, Bogota is implementing DOTS since many years ago. We call it TOD in English,
Transit
transport-oriented
or
development,
yes.
transit-oriented development. And for example, the main avenue that connects the airport with the city center has this kind of development in many places, that we have huge buildings near to and many business buildings connected with Transmilenio, and the density decreases as the distance to Transmilenio is far away. So yes, we create this urban development. And also I think Bogota is completely mixed, because it's huge, it's dense, but Bogota worked during the previous administration in the creation of many like new zones of development in the north of the city, and in many places, just to provide the goods and services that people need, but without making a long journey to get it.
May I ask, so how are things different now with social distancing measures?
Yes, uh, I will share with you photos regarding that. But we were pioneers in the temporary bike lanes. On
Yes.
March 17th, we implemented our first bike lanes corridors. We started with a huge approach, 100 kilometers, but we start to pilot it, and we have now 60 kilometers, new kilometers of road bike paths. Also, we create these open spaces for the reopening, and we know that it's important to promote the economy and the economic growth, but with safer distance. And we create these open spaces, places like in many cities in the world. Um, but that was also a joint work, and we provide not only the spaces, but also bike parking next to these open spaces to promote people come in bicycle, not in car. And also we create this. We had the opportunity to implement the 50 kilometers per hour restriction, or speed limit in the whole city, because we also want to prevent that people have an accident and then have to occupy a hospital bed that should be maybe safe for people that has COVID-19. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a huge approach, and we also work in different campaigns with Transmilenio, promoting social distancing, promoting with the operators of the buses operators, the frequencies of the buses, to have more frequencies and to have less occupation inside of the buses and stations. Yes.
Yeah, I hope these temporary cycleways become permanent cycleways even after the pandemic is addressed.
Yes, we expect to have these 60 kilometers of new bike lanes permanent by the end of the year. So we are working faster.
No, I think it's great. So photos about it have become viral on social media about how Bogota was very quick to respond, and many cities around the world. I know even here in Australia and in the Philippines are trying to follow your lead. So you mentioned some good leaders. Just a bit of trivia. So Natty and I were classmates in a course in Israel. So we were UNESCO and Mashav scholars for the Vite Center for Sustainable Development. And while we were there, we bumped into Mayor Enrique Peñalosa. So we were such big fans, and each of us had a photo with him. And he's quoted by many books, and every time people make presentations, I also quote him for saying an advanced city is not where the poor have a car or use a car, but it's where even the rich take public transport. And you mentioned as well, the current mayor Lopez is also prioritizing mobility. Um, how much do you think is up to the leader, and what can the private sector do to support visionary leaders?
Of course, yes. Bogota has had many visionary leaders, and we can start, for example, with Antanas Mocus, and he started to talk about city culture, citizen culture before anyone in the 1990s. And after that, Enrique Peñalosa came with a huge like urbanism vision that we didn't had before. And with this, we had like this support for the technicians to implement new ways of living the city, and also to remove illegal parking on the streets, and to open spaces for pedestrians and for the public transport. So with the second administration of Enrique Peñalosa, we have the opportunity to implement more projects, and not only for the mobility, but also for schools, for parks, for the children. So this urban renewal is being like spread in the whole city. And of course, mobility is one leader in the urban development, thanks to new projects in roads and in projects in mobility. We had changed the way people move and change people's lives. So it's a huge challenge in the future, because the capacity to access to a private vehicle is increasing every single year, and a car can cost between $3,000, more than $3,000. Um, so you can have a car easily, or a motorcycle with $1,000. So we need to promote and to make more appealing the use of the bicycle. For example, the electric bicycle is really competitive if we compare with the motorcycle, but people didn't know that, so they buy a motorcycle because everybody's buying motorcycle. But in fact, electric bicycle is safer, because you can use the bike paths. You can avoid traffic and be in a segregated lane. So those things is important to involve the private sector, and to promote and to provide access to financial support, and to provide these opportunities to pay a new electric bicycle. Also, the private sector is really engaged with the road safety, and they create these mobility plans for road safety. And nowadays, in the COVID emergency, they had they share the trips of their employees in a platform, where we can check if people are using the bicycle or the motorcycle, or different modes of transportation, and we can compare the trips of the employees that are signed up in this platform with the new bike paths and the new projects of open spaces for pedestrians. So it's a joint work, and we think that the private sector is a huge leader in the change also of the city, because they can promote change in their employers and change in the way people is living. So it's a joint work.
Maybe we can talk more about the tactical urbanism measures that are happening. So I think it's really interesting. So tactical urbanism, we define it as low cost, but then the benefits and the effects could be long term in terms of addressing some urban issues. So if you can talk more about, please, on what's happening, maybe not just in Bogota, but maybe you're aware of other examples that you're using as best practice, or the other cities in South America are doing as well.
Well, thanks to NACTO, that is the National Association of City Technicians of the USA, we had implemented this tactical urbanism in all the road safety projects, as well as Fortaleza, for example. They had painted entire streets of different colors and made more vivid and more like closer to the citizens and the community, the urban design. In Bogota, we work with the communities. We go to these neighborhoods and we ask the people, the mothers, the students, where they feel safer and less safe. And if they will change something, what should they do? Then we go and pilot these projects and try to talk with the community do this pilot. This pilot is happening, and after that we create the final design, but listening to the people. And this happened also in Medellin. Now NACTO is working with Cali, and they are having this approach of safer streets for kids, as well as Botnar Foundation in Cali. And also we have shared experiences with Sao Paulo, Fortaleza, and Buenos Aires, and they are like these cities that are partners for us, and we share the same concerns and issues. So we support between cities, and we try to share these good experiences.
One thing also that stood out for me when you presented earlier was um, the focus on encouraging more women, and I guess in terms of how they can ride bicycles more and whatnot. And I think women, I wrote an article about this years ago about how we're more critical in terms of choosing the transport mode. And it's not just road safety, meaning in terms of getting hit by a car, but it's also safety and security that, we won't be followed, especially if it's late at night or if it's somewhere dark or whatnot. If you can please talk more about the initiatives in terms of promoting women's safety on the road.
It's a guideline for this Madam Mayor, Claudia Lopez, our Madam Mayor, to implement this gender approach to all of the projects in Bogota. Women in Bogota and in many cities in Colombia are in charge of the family. We have an account, we call it Women's Account, published by the Espacio Foundation, and they show that men, they only do one or two trips in the day, work and home, work. But women, we take the kids to the school and then do the groceries, and then we go to work, and then we go back and visit our parents, and we are more involved and more engaged with the care of the family. So we provide this care to the elderly people, to the children. So the cities should be designed for these women. And also, for example, in the taxi service in Bogota, 60% of the users are women. So we have to design these different transport modes for the women needs, and try to provide equity and to prevent sexual harassment, and to promote to empower the women to use the bicycle on the streets and to walk and to feel that they feel safer in the city. And that's a matter of equity and try to like tackle these masculinities, uh, not only in the city but in the design and the public transport and everything that is surrounding. So yes, for us it's a priority, the gender approach.
And I think it's good that more and more decision makers are themselves women. So you understand what needs to be provided.
Yes, and we have a project with the development bank, the International Development Bank, because there are many women that carry their children in the bicycle. And it's a little bit dangerous, but it's the only way to take them to the school. So this project is aiming to provide a safer vehicle or a safer bicycle design in order they carry their children safer.
Well, thanks so much, Natalia. It's been great speaking with you, and thanks for sharing all the good projects and initiatives that are happening in Bogota.
Thank you so much, Carmi, for having me, and I hope we'll keep in touch and someday come and visit Bogota.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Take care.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode of Beyond Places. I would love to hear from you. Feel free to connect with me on social media and carmipalafox@gmail.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please do subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Bye and see you again next week.